Havana Heat by Darryl. Dedication to the memory of my grandfather, Stanley, who saw them play, to my father, Charles, and those formative backyard contests, to my son, Greg, and the B&B League, to the Wiffle champs, Graham and Will, the little guys, Thomas and James, and all the games to come. Hear me a little, for I have only been silent so long. William Shakespeare, Much Ado About Nothing. Prologue, Olathe, Kansas, April 1958. He sat at the head table, thinking that when he was a student here, no cafeteria tables or hard-soled shoes were allowed on the hardwood. But that was years ago, when the floor was new and shiny. Now he'd come full circle, and at 83 he knew he was in considerably worse shape than the venerable building. His alma mater, the Kansas School for the Deaf, had designated a scholarship in his name, the Luther Hayden Taylor Award, to be given each year to the outstanding scholar-athlete. And so he'd come back. A fine thing to be honored, of course, but he'd appreciate it more if the old gym weren't so damn drafty. He was cold a lot of the time now. Old man's bone chill. The speaker, some hearing legislator from the area, was going on about his glory years with the Giants. Earlier they'd shown a movie, and he'd seen himself as he looked nearly 60 years ago, parading around the diamond before the series. But the film was jerky, the figures comical-looking. It hadn't been like that. What? He hadn't paid heed to the student signer. The politician was looking at him, eyebrows arched, arms stretched toward the things on display. His silver lifetime National League pass, his championship medal with its crossed bats and 22 diamonds, the ball from when he'd licked Three-Finger Brown and dumped the Cubs out of a flag race, his old spikes and glove. That was where he'd stopped paying attention, when the politician held up his glove like some prehistoric relic. The signer was pointing at a wooden figure at the far end of the display. They wanted to know what it was. Well, it was too complicated to try to tell them, but that little carving had as much business here as anything else. Maybe more. He grinned at the politician, who regarded him blankly, then went on. Seemed like he'd been talking an hour. All the fresh-scrubbed faces. The boys up front were too young for him to have coached, but others seated behind him, old enough to be their fathers, had come back to pay their respects, plus a bunch from the deaf campus in Illinois, where he lived now. So many faces. Tomorrow...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?